Hello and welcome to Woman's World. I am Oinlola Sally. Today we go all the way to Zambia, where we'll be looking at the scourge of HIV and AIDS in a community in Lusaka and how one NGO is helping the women curb the effects. We will meet an amazing young woman on Life on Top. We will also bring you up to date with the latest headlines in the world of women. On trends, whether you're slim, curvy or plus size, there are definitely dresses that suit your body type. Stay tuned to find out more. Let's go straight to our issue for the day.
As the African proverb goes, a woman is never old when it comes to the dance she knows. But beneath this veneer of happiness, these women are faced with a challenge that is tearing many communities apart. HIV/AIDS. Kunyima Banda is a programs manager with the network of Zambian people living with HIV, also called NZP+.
The aims of the organization is to help improve the quality of life of people living with HIV, and it's mainly to promote support towards people living with HIV, to improve information flow that is relevant to people living with HIV.
According to the 2007 Zambia Demographic Health Survey, an estimated 14.3% among the 15 to 49-year-olds have the virus. Southern Africa has some of the highest HIV rates in the world. In Swaziland, Botswana and Lesotho, more than 20% of those aged between 15 to 49 are infected. The epidemic affects more women than men. Estella Mbewe has lived with HIV/AIDS since 2001. She lost 2 children to the virus. Mbewe believes that the public needs more information about the disease.
So really, I think it's the issue of educating, doing more outreach work within the community. But then on my own, again, when I discovered that I was HIV positive, I think before, I never thought that I would be able to go far. I thought maybe I was going to die any minute. But looking at, you have this long life and joining NZP+, it has really helped a lot.
Mbewe, who has been on antiretroviral treatment, ARV, since 2004, is not resting on her accolade. As a programs officer in the communications department at NZP+, she is doing her part in the fight against the epidemic. Today, Mbewe is visiting the Sapina Women Support Group in one of the poorest parts of the capital, Lusaka.
Sometimes once in a while, you feel like, you're down, but then you get encouraged when you meet other people who are living with HIV and you are sort of like encouraged. And then at the end of it, you'll be able to say, okay, if that person was able to go through this, why not me?
Mbewe's colleagues at NZP+ are happy with the contribution that she is making to the organization.
She managed to start the very first support group of women living with HIV, and that she has supported up to date and has supported establish a number of support groups here in Lusaka and all over the country.
This 44-year-old is also a cancer survivor. She was diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2011. Mbewe lives with her 6 nephews and nieces in the Mandevu area of Lusaka. 40-year-old Veronica Chipanta is also HIV positive. Chipanta thinks the Zambian government needs to do more.
The government needs to hire more people like Estella to do this work. This is the first time that we have gotten this information. We haven't seen anything at the market. In schools, there's no one teaching this.
Estelle, though, disagrees with this notion.
The government is really doing quite a lot, because if you look at where we started from in terms of where we are coming from, like in the 1980s, for someone to be able to get treatment, it was quite very expensive. But if you look at now, you go in the clinics, you are able to get treatment.
Although the cure for HIV/AIDS may not have been discovered yet, people like Estelle Mbewe and organizations like NZP Plus are doing their small part to help those living with the virus. In the meantime, the members of the Sapina Women's Support Group will dance until they get a new tune.
Being HIV positive shouldn't be the end of one's life. With access to information and proper medical care, you can live a long life and in turn help change the life of the next positive person. Coming up, we meet an Amazon on Life on Top, and on Trends, we learn what fits the different body types. But first, let's see what events made the headlines this week.
Diverse cultures, several languages, different experiences from over 20 countries. They have come together to share their passion. One thing they have in common: literature.
A lot of the women who are here are doing amazing things in their communities, for young people, for other women, for the public in general. So this is an opportunity for them to come together and talk to each other, and also to share with the general public
About this. And that's the truth. The 21st century has witnessed the creation of women's and writers' organizations throughout Africa and its diaspora. Often these organizations both support and are staffed by emerging writers. Whether or not literature is given the prominence it deserves among Africans is relative.
I think the quality has come down a lot. Probably we can trace it to the weaknesses in an educational system, that young people come out of school with very low levels of literacy.
I think when we look at Africa, it's the same thing that we see that men have been writing way before we've been given space and room to be able to do so. So for me, looking at this modern era, this is what poetry is about. It's about women taking their space, giving a voice.
The symposium will include panels, readings, performances, and film screenings. It will be a gathering devoted to study, criticism, and celebration of the creativity and diversity of women writers of African descent. It is sponsored by the New York University's Institute of African American Affairs, hosted by Mbasem Foundation, and presented by the Organization of Women Writers of Africa Incorporated.
Women writers of African descent have been in the
Gracing the occasion was Angela Davis, an American political activist, scholar, and author.
Accompanied by Mali's First Lady, France's First Lady Valérie Traoré visited a hospital and met with the local children. France has deployed some 4,000 troops to Mali alongside a regional African force in an operation that has driven fighters into desert hideaways and mountains near the Algerian border. Gao is a former stronghold of the Mudra Islamist group, which controlled the town for around 10 months, imposing a violent form of Sharia Islamic law.
Women's rights activists and former comfort women in South Korea have staged a rally against the Japan politician's controversial comments. Toru Hashimoto, who is the mayor of Osaka City in Japan, said that the use of women forced into sexual slavery in brothels run by the Japanese army in World War II was necessary. His comment has angered neighboring countries that bore the brunt of Japan's wartime aggression and have long complained that Japan has failed to fully atone for wartime atrocities. The comfort women issue has been a thorny one for Japan and its neighbors such as South Korea and China, who say there has not been a sufficient apology for the women and that reparations are not complete. Hollywood actress Angelina Jolie's revelation that she underwent a double mastectomy has put the spotlight on preventative procedures. Jolie opted for the surgery after learning she had inherited a high risk of breast cancer. She wrote about her experiences in an article for a New York newspaper. Her decision to have the procedure done has been met with applause.
I love what she titled her article, which was My Medical Decision, and that's something that I think is really important, that it's her personal decision. She made this decision as in a very informed consent. She knew what she was getting into, she knew what the before and after was going to be like, she knew what her risk was, and she chose to go down this path.
I actually think it's incredibly brave and admirable and wonderful and brilliant that she came out and spoke about it.
Not to do it too.
Cancer experts said that Jolie's treatment was an informed choice, reducing her risk of developing cancer from 87% to less than 5%, and hope that it can help frame the discussion for patients facing a similar decision.